Hi, you guys. Nice to see you again. This is Richard Sachs, your host on Lost Arts Radio, and this is the Safe Stream version of Lost Arts Radio Live. It's not the really evil version, which is on some other platforms that I have to warn you to be sure not to look at, and I think the links not to look at are below this video, so you'll know what to avoid. Very important, because we want to keep you safe above everything else. I mean, we all are learning now, thanks to these platforms that are teaching us and not even charging for the lessons. And they're teaching that being safe is more important than freedom, especially free speech. I mean, that's a conspiracy theory anyway, that was in the original Constitution. That's coming from, extreme right-wing constitutionalists. So we don't want to pay attention to that. And we just had to be re-educated for a week. Kind of punished for our own good, and we're really grateful for it. And what we were being punished for, or assisted with, our own misunderstanding, is that apparently I wasn't vigilant enough, and I didn't realize we had interviewed another incredibly evil guest, and that guest did something. It's almost too horrible to tell you about. You might want to get kids out of the room. That guest talked about, I can't actually name it because then we'll have to be re-educated again, and that would make us disappear. So let's see, what can I say here to keep you safe? I mean, we had a guest on with great credentials and really incredible person, but everybody has flaws, and his flaw was that he wanted to talk about this thing that they have. You might have heard about it. We have it in America, and you have it in other countries. And it's where people say who they want to be in office. And it happens periodically for all these different offices. And he talked about it. I mean, I'm trying not to faint with even thinking about it. It was so horrible. And he was looking at whether it was done correctly. I mean, forget it. You can't ever say anything like that. So the platform was very gracious and said, we're only going to punish you this time for 1 week, but otherwise you're gone. So I'm trying to be a lot better and just let you know that we've benefited from the re-education, and we're so grateful for it. And we're learning that, what the far-right extremists call freedom of speech, that's a conspiracy theory. And of course it is, because America and all these Western and other countries, Eastern countries, and everybody are so great and so wise that they made sure they wouldn't have anything that could be mistaken for freedom of speech. So it's being corrected in America for the rest of the world to follow. And anyway, that's why we had to be re-educated, and I hope the education was really successful. We'll be able to tell, hopefully, by a better curating of the material on the program and the guests that we allowed to speak. So as far as the material for this week, I was looking at it very, very carefully to make sure that we don't, go crazy and think of like independent thought or free speech or anything like that, because that would threaten our safety, right? So we can't do that. So, but I still wanted to tell you about the subject if I could, but looking at the subject, I don't know if I can, because it's got words in it that I really can't mention because they're too evil or too controversial words. And I think they're being eliminated in the context that I would talk about them from language, fortunately. So we won't have that problem anymore when nobody remembers how to say these things. But basically the idea is that you probably, some of you know that I have many full-time projects going on. I'm one of these really crazy people that takes on way more than they could ever do and then tries to do it anyway. I don't really recommend that without making some other changes in your own consciousness to bend time and space and things like that. But we won't get into that now. That could be controversial too. So what I'll say is that one of my projects is involved with a major university, and we're doing a study on some people that I was going to tell you about, but I realized if I tell you about it, you might not ever see me again. So let's say you guys are really smart, so I'll just give you some clues. Sometimes people get a disease, and I can't tell you the name of the disease, but I can tell you, you know about rhymes. You know, you had rhymes when you were little kids. Well, this is a rhyme, and this disease rhymes with Banser. Okay, so you probably don't know anybody that's ever had Banser before, but it gives you a clue to what I'm talking about. And people with this disease that rhymes with Banser, mostly they do what they're supposed to. And even if the treatment kills them right away, they know that it's okay because it's the standard of care, which is something that we all need to really respect and worship, no matter whether it makes sense or not. And especially the doctors, because if we stop respecting it, they would have a stress on their financial situation. We don't ever want that to happen because we know that they're doing the selfless work that they can for us in the best way that possible, day and night. I mean, some of them don't even sleep anymore. They just serve you all the time, the health authorities. So I'm studying some of these people that were diagnosed with Banser, but they didn't follow the standard of care. And they stopped eating and they just drank juice or water. And I mean, they probably should all be arrested because they got better. And you can't do that if it's not approved. So I decided, well, somebody should study these really evil, misguided people. And I decided to do it. And what was a total miracle is that the university is allowing me to do it. So I'm most of the way through the study, but I need more people to participate. So if you or somebody you knew or know now was diagnosed with any form of Banser and they didn't do the things that they should have done, like chemotherapy and radiation and surgery and all that, and they did a so-called natural protocol, which we all know is a conspiracy theory, but let's say they did that, and they'd be willing to talk for an hour about their experience, I need to talk to them. So you can reach me if you know anybody like that, richard@lostartsradio.com, and let me know. And that's really what I wanted to tell you about today, because it's time sensitive. You only have so much time to find each participant to put into the study. And I need to find my next one in the next week or so. So the purpose of this study was going to be to show people an alternative to know about that's cheap and that makes you healthy and does all these things. But now that I've been re-educated over the last week, I know that that's not true. That's a conspiracy theory. It's probably racist as well. And I don't want to be bad in any way like that. So now I'm just telling you that this is studying the people who did the wrong thing and did not follow the path that would shorten their life. They followed a path that made them completely healthy, but they didn't have authorization to do that. And so we need to know more about that, maybe, so we can decide what punishment they should all have. But it's a really interesting study. We've already interviewed quite a few people like that who are still around and healthy and happy years after they did it. And if you want more detail about it, it's going to be in the first part of the regular Lost Arts Radio Live radio show, which will be in a few minutes on the regular platforms. that are not re-educating us at the moment. Some of them have promised never to do that and just accept our flaws as they are. And others don't have a open policy like that, but they haven't found us yet. So if you want to stay up to date with where we're still on the air and still able to be found, go to lostartsradio.com and it'll tell you how to find the live stream shows, the archives, and everything else. And I think that's about it. And I'm sorry to be kind of awkward, but I'm trying to say everything correctly from now on so we don't really need any more re-education. And they don't offer that much of it before you disappear anyway. So thanks for your patience with all that. If you or somebody you know has been diagnosed with cancer in the past or recent past, anytime, and they've done this unconventional approach, have them write to me, richard@lostartsradio.com, and the results of that study that I can't tell you fully about on this platform will probably end up saving some people's lives, and it's worthwhile. So anyway, just in case you've heard of anybody like that. And otherwise, I think that's about it for now. Most of the rest of the stuff that's going to be on the Lost Arts Radio live show, if I tell you about it on this platform, you probably won't see me again here. So we'll leave it at that. I hope you have a great week. In 12 minutes, we'll have the full show on the other platforms, some of which are linked below to help you to know what to avoid so that you won't be evil. And we know not to be evil because the best authority in probably the solar system on not being evil, which is Google, obviously, told everybody don't be evil, so we shouldn't be evil. And I'm trying really hard not to be. So I think that's about it. Hope you're taking good care of yourself. That's the main message of the real Lost Arts Radio live show, that you're very important. You're not an insignificant 1 out of 8 billion people on the world. It's nothing like that. You're the key to fixing the little problems we have going on in the world right now, in case you've looked around. Of course, I'm not going to mention them specifically, or we would probably disappear, especially if I say what they're caused by and how I solve them. But you guys are smart. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm trying to save this connection on this particular platform long enough for everybody to figure out to go to lostartsradio.com and find our regular live stream and archive shows. And I will meet you there. So have a good week, a good rest of the day or night, wherever you are in the world. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care of yourself.